Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I hope everyone had a meaningful and a healthy week. Obviously, with Tisha B'Av, it was complicated, but it does feel good. There is a sense of relief that Tisha B'Av is now done. And it's my hope, it's my aspiration, that we each walked away from Tisha B'Av with what to think about, what to reflect upon. You know, this Shabbos, Shabbat Nachamu, Shabbat of comfort, we read Parshat Vaetchanan. Shabbat morning, Moshe is going to beseech from God the opportunity to go into the land of Israel. As we all know, Moshe lost his privilege to enter that land. For whatever reason, there is a lengthy debate amongst the commentators as to why Moshe was restricted. But nevertheless, he doesn't give up hope until God says to him, absolutely not. The Midrash says that there's a small subplot. There's a small request that Moshe makes after Moshe comes to the conclusion that God will not change his mind, whatever that means. The Midrash says Moshe tries a new approach. Instead of asking God to walk through the land, the Midrash suggests that Moshe makes a request from God to become a bird so he could fly through the land of Israel. The Gemara says the reason Moshe is so desperate to get to the land of Israel, though it may be obvious to us, because of how precious and how special that land is. Moshe has never been there. He's never seen pictures of the land. So what is his cheshek? What is his sincere and energetic desire to get there based on? It's based on a desire to be able to observe all the mitzvot of the Torah. If there was ever a person who lived, who could fulfill all 613, it was Moshe Rabbeinu. And the problem was there are many mitzvot that are reliant on being in the land of Israel. And so Moshe made the request to walk through the land. And the Midrash says when God said no to Moshe, you cannot walk through this land, Moshe doesn't give up. He has a new request. He says, if you're not going to let me walk through the land, make me into a bird so I can fly through the land. Now, it's a funny little Midrash. What was Moshe playing at? What was Moshe trying to accomplish? And we know God's response even to that, because God says, climb up to the top of the mountain, and from a distance, you'll be able to see the land. From the top of the mountain, looking over the Jordan, you'll be able to see the whole land, but it'll be in the distance. What is going on? What's this Midrash saying? I believe Rav Moshe Feinstein says, I believe there are three ways we experience spirituality. We experience Judaism in our lives. Way number one is walking through the land. There are moments in our lives where we are so clear about the presence and involvement of God. There are moments in our lives where it's as if we're walking with God by our side. Those foxhole moments, if you will. That was the experience Moshe wanted. He had it once before. He stood at the top of Mount Sinai and he felt the presence. He experienced the presence of God explicitly. Moshe wanted that again. And when God said, no, you can't walk through the land, Moshe realized there's another way to experience Yiddishkeit. Though it's not walking through the land with God, you can fly over it. Moshe says there are times in our lives where we don't experience God as explicitly, where we don't see it, we're not in it, but we can fly over it. We can be in the airspace of the land of Israel. And God says, no, that's not what you need right now, Moshe. And then there are times in our lives where we see Judaism, we see Yiddishkeit, we see meaning, we see God, we see community from a distance. Standing on a hill on the other side of the Jordan, Moshe sees the land of Israel from a distance. I feel like so much of our lives has become that. It's become seeing the tent outside the shul behind me as you drive past to go wherever you're going. It's a familiar feeling. It's a feeling of desire. It's a feeling of, I want to be there, but I can't be there. And that's the feeling that Moshe has. Rav Kook famously once said, the only thing B'nai Chutz La'aretz, Jews of the diaspora, have over B'nai Eretz Yisrael, Jews who live in the land of Israel, the only thing we have who live in the diaspora over them who live in Israel is the desire to live in Israel. If you're already living there, you have no desire, you're there. Here, sitting in Baltimore, Maryland, we have a desire to be there. That's the desire, that's the experience of Moshe. While the level of experience of being in it, or even flying over it, is more intense, more explicit, there is value in seeing it from a distance and saying, that's where I would like to head. That's where I would like to be. As we sit here today, I don't mean to be the one to say this, but Yamim Noraim, the high holidays, are there in the distance. And it's some of the most special days of the year in our community. I hope and I pray that in the coming days and weeks, we are able to figure out a way to cross over that Jordan and enter the promised land, enter the Holy Land. I know the leadership of our shul are exploring options. We're thinking about how we can creatively and obviously safely offer the PJC Yomim Noraim experience. But there is such value as well in having the desire to be there. Though we're not there, though frankly we're not all together the way we have been in the past, we all have that desire somewhere. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are too special in our community not to be able to celebrate the desire that that's what we want. That's what's important to us right now. That beacon, seeing the promised land from a distance, though it's not ideal, it's a value in and of itself. It's a value that Moshe needed to learn. Hashem taught him. And it's a value today that we celebrate. We see from a distance that Amir Tzah Hashem, please God, soon we will at some point safely gather as a community. We will at some point offer meaning by being with each other. But up until that point, we will offer meaning by desiring to be with each other, by knowing that each of us want to be together. Wishing each of you a Shabbat Shalom, a good Shabbos, and may we, Amir Tzah Hashem, continue to stand on the top of that mountain and look out and see the promised land. May we continue to stand on the top of that mountain and look out and have the desire to get back together, to continue to build our community, to continue heading towards the destination that I hope we arrive at very soon. Shabbat Shalom.